Hey guys, so in this manifestation community, this niche, there's a lot of talk about the Neville Goddard mental state and shifting mental state in order to produce your outer reality that matches that mental state, imagining to do that and all of that. And as somebody who found Neville Goddard 20 years after I began consciously manifesting everything and having basically manifested everything in my life before ever reading Neville Goddard, I can tell you firsthand that Neville Goddard and Neville Goddard's techniques and his writings are not the final and only word on the topic of shifting mental states and manifesting things. He's got a lot of good stuff, but one thing that is pretty heavily missing, I don't want to say missing because he does talk about action throughout his books, but he doesn't talk about taking purposeful action almost at all towards anything. In fact, he says your actions will be automatic, inspired, you don't have to do anything, you don't have to lift a finger. But he doesn't really talk about the fact that you can still take actions and do things that have an effect on your mental state. Absolutely. I mean, this is a really weird thing to me that people can sort of have sort of bought hook, line, and sinker into the idea that all of your actions are meaningless and that you can't take any action towards anything. I mean, everybody, literally everyone in their life has firsthand examples of taking action to do things. So Neville couldn't possibly have meant that you can't take any action to do anything ever. He just couldn't. Or that you can only do things by shifting into a mental state and then taking action. That is not obviously the only way to do things, or else nobody could ever do anything without having read all of Neville Goddard's works, right? Really doesn't make any sense. And one of the things that I think is, I talked about this in a recent video, one of the things that that I think is really missing from the discourse is that you can take action to help shift your mental state. For example, a really elementary example here would be you want to get into better physical shape, so you shift into that state mentally, absolutely key. However, you can also take the action of purposefully changing your diet and exercising in order to get even more into that mentality. Doing those actions while being in a state of mind that is incongruent with any kind of physical change won't produce any result. But, you know, there's a spectrum here. You're not either all in or all out. A lot of the time you're partly in, you're partly out, you're waffling, you haven't quite gotten there yet, and taking the actions that match with the state of the person you're trying to become or the thing you're trying to get is the thing that will push you over the edge towards fully being on board with getting the thing you want. This is my opinion and definitely my experience. I would anything big that I wanted to get, I wouldn't even dream of trying to do it without taking some kind of action to create a bigger sense of conviction in myself that yes, we're really doing this. Yes, this is really going to happen, you know, that kind of thing. But so I'll link to that video. I think it's the last one that I posted. So anyway, one thing I wanted to talk about that I didn't talk about on that video that I think is really important. This is just kind of like life pro tip. As far as I'm concerned, this has been one that I've had to work on. That, you know, this wasn't something that's easy for me. This is something that I had to kind of figure out and do for myself over the last 5 years. And that is, you can take certain actions on purpose that you begin to associate with a certain mental state. And then when you want to generate that mental state or continue, you know, or perpetuate that mental state, you take these actions associated with that, you do them, and it just sort of magically puts you in that state. So for example, I've talked on this channel before on, I was talking about discipline, how every single day, no matter what, I get up and I make my bed, because that action to me is associated with discipline. It's associated with success. It's associated with having control over myself. And it's the first thing I do every day, literally. You know, I get up and I make my bed. And so it sort of sets the tone for the whole day. It shifts me into a mental state of, doesn't matter how I'm feeling right now, doesn't matter if I'm tired, doesn't matter if I'm in a rush, I have decided that the first thing I'm going to do every day is make my bed. It takes 30 seconds. There you go. Think about the difference. If I got up and having that in place, having that idea in place, that I make my bed every morning, and what that means for me, what I just said, that means about discipline and everything, having control over myself. If I get up and I do that now that I've associated it with that meaning, then I'm in that headspace. If I get up and I purposely don't do that, what does that say? That basically says, well, I'm not even going to do the first thing today that I associate with being successful today. How do you think the rest of the day goes? There are a million examples of this that you can set up on purpose in order to keep yourself in a certain type of mental state. So the other thing that I do, and this is something I still struggle with, I don't nail this every day, by far. If something goes wrong, especially later in the day, this is one of those ones where I have to make a conscious choice. And that is, every night I brush my teeth and I water pick my teeth. So I do that no matter what. I literally never, ever don't do that. Having $16,000 worth of dental work done in 6 months in your late 30s will hopefully change that for you, if that has to happen for you. I will never, ever go to bed without brushing and water picking my teeth ever again. But I also got Invisalign, and I have to floss my teeth really good for that. It takes 1 minute to do it, if even that. And then I have to clean my Invisalign retainers because they're already done. My Invisalign's done. And then put my retainers in. And I also have some skincare stuff that I do. That is sort of the next level. And if I do all of those things, take care of my teeth completely, and I put on whatever the exfoliant shit is that makes my skin look really good. If I do all of those things, that is heavily associated with my life being in a good place, because I only do those naturally when things are going well, when there's not some big stressor in my environment, or I don't have a freaking hematoma on my back from falling down the stairs or whatever. Those are things I do when things are naturally I don't have to put any effort into doing it because I'm just happy naturally, everything's going well. So what I've come to notice is that there comes an option where I can either choose to do those things or choose not to do those things. If I choose to do those things on purpose, even if I'm not feeling good, it snaps me back into that everything is okay frame of mind, from which all other things spring. If you pay attention to the way you are feeling, the mental state that you're in, if you start paying attention to that, you'll see how it's creating your whole life. It really is. Feeling really is the secret. How you're looking at everything and feeling about everything really is producing a tangibly different outside result. And so if you set things up for yourself like that, these are the things that I do when everything is okay, and make it some tasks that you don't like to do when you're not feeling good, taking care of yourself, if that's a thing for you. If you're one of the people that loves to take care of yourself all the time, no matter what, that's freaking awesome. Good for you. That's amazing. You'll have to think of something else, maybe cleaning or something. But you can associate these tasks with a certain frame of mind, a certain high level of existing. And then you just make yourself do it. Just make yourself do it, and it snaps you back into that place, or at least gets you closer. You know what I mean? It's like saying I'm going for the good mental state instead of wallowing in the state I'm in right now. And dude, this shit can make the biggest difference in your life, way bigger than any of the stuff that you're trying to change, because putting in the effort towards getting the mental state. So many people aren't doing this. They're just watching videos. They're just reading forums. When you don't put in, the mental work is the difficult stuff. It's the stuff that requires doing stuff you don't want to do. It's not easy to go to bed feeling, with a feeling of positive expectancy when you just had a horribly shitty day. It's not easy to take care of yourself if you're feeling shitty about yourself. It's not easy to do any of this stuff. But these are the things that change the mentality, that change everything. So, you know, if you're past the point of being bamboozled by how easy this is supposed to be, and you've gotten the easy stuff and you're onto the difficult stuff, this is the stuff that really makes the difference in your day-to-day experience. And, you know, I don't know if anybody out there is skating through life without any issues happening. I haven't met anybody. I haven't heard of anybody. You know, at some point, you have to actually do the work on your mind to get your mind into a positive place, to get yourself to a point where you can shift into a positive mental state without it being a giant uphill battle every time. So these are my little things that I do. The making the bed as the first thing in the morning, I think, is just, anyone who's not doing this, you are missing out on the easiest thing in the world to do that will change your whole day, literally. I mean, doing this one thing every day, I think, has been a major shift for me. I've only been doing it for like 5 years. You know, it's never too late. You know, I'm almost 43. It's never too late to start doing this stuff. You know, you don't have to be like, oh, well, I'm 65 now, why bother? Because it improves your experience immediately, right now, and forever if you start doing these things. Anyway, I hope that helps somebody. Have a great day.